Extreme showboating, flying knees, and multiple takedowns. This is what a fight between Jon Jones and Israel Adesanya would look like. From 2019 to 2025, fight fans have waited almost half a decade for this matchup, but it never happened. Why did the biggest super fight in MMA history vanish into rumors, where each fighter stood in their prime and what the numbers actually say about who would have walked away victorious? This video answers every question about Jon Jones versus Israel Adesanya. But before we get into that, let's go back in time and look at how it all started. Jon Bones Jones grew up wrestling in school. Despite his father's discouragement, he became a champion in New York State High School. There, he discovered his passion for fighting, and at 20, he dropped out of college to pursue fighting as a profession. He learned Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and blended them with wrestling. Jones was already a standout fighter, so getting noticed by UFC was quite easy for him. In April 2008, he got his first UFC fight against Brad Bernard, a journeyman with limited experience. Jones' explosive punches and elbows showcased his raw potential. He overwhelmed Bernard in the first minute of the fight and knocked him out with multiple punches. Although this debut fight didn't make him an overnight star, it paved the way for his future fights in UFC. By December 2009, he had outclassed fighters like Andre Gusmao, Stephan Bonner, and Jake O'Brien. After some initial fights, he finally got his first main card slot. It was a fight against the notorious Matt Hamill, a 6'2" guy with a gritty reputation. Jones dominated from the start. He controlled Hamill on the ground, unloading 31 significant ground strikes, including vicious elbows that cut Hamill open. However, the fight ended in controversy when Jones was disqualified in round 1 for downward elbow strikes. Despite the loss, Jones's performance was so overwhelming that he landed 52 total strikes to Hamill's 8. The disqualification didn't dim his star, instead it showcased his power and aggression, earning him recognition as a future light heavyweight title contender. By 2011, Jones was running on a 12-1 streak of dominant wins. On March 19th at UFC 128, he got his title shot against Mauricio Shogun Rua, the reigning light heavyweight champion. Shogun, a 19-4 Pride legend, was a feared striker, but Jones totally dismantled him. He used his 84.5-inch reach to land 75 significant strikes, including flying knees and spinning elbows. Near the end of round 3, Jones finished Shogun with a body shot and ground and pound and won, claiming the light heavyweight title. At just 23 years, he became the youngest UFC champion ever, a record that still stands. After winning the title in 2011, he defended it 8 times, dismantling big names like Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans, and Alexander Gustafsson. Jones has surely built a legacy for himself, but his career wasn't filled with all wins and no setbacks. His first mishap happened in 2015 when he tested positive for cocaine metabolites after his UFC 182 win over Cormier, leading to rehab and public scrutiny. After that, he was even involved in a hit-and-run case and many other legal issues. But like every great action hero, Jones also had his redemption arc, which started in late 2018. He returned to the octagon to reclaim his light heavyweight title. That year and the next, he defended his title and won against Gustafsson, Anthony Smith, and Thiago Santos. These wins rebuilt Jones's reputation, proving he could still dominate despite controversies. By mid-2019, Jones was riding high as the light heavyweight king, but in the same year, another name was ruling the UFC scene: Israel Adesanya, aka Izzy, the rising middleweight champion. He debuted in 2018, and within just 14 months, he was already an interim champion and was going strong at 6-0 with 3 technical knockouts. His flashy striking, charismatic promos, and ability to finish opponents like Silva and Gastelum drew comparisons to Jon Jones's early dominance. Seeing these comparisons and hype, Adesanya called out Jones for a fight and even claimed to move to light heavyweight to challenge him. Jones responded on Twitter and mocked Adesanya's skinny frame, predicting he'd expose him. Adesanya fired back, calling Jones a bully and accused him of ducking him and referencing his legal issues. Their trash talk fueled the rumors of a potential super fight. Jones's dominance at 205 pounds and Adesanya's flashy striking made it a dream matchup. But before we get into that, let's analyze who's better overall. Well, Jones's physical power relies more on technique than raw strength. His lighter frame and freakish athleticism give him elite grappling strength with which he can dominate heavy opponents, like the way he knocked out Daniel Cormier with a left head kick. His 80% takedown defense and ability to control bigger opponents like Alexander Gustafsson at UFC 232 showcase his elite physical dominance. Meanwhile, Adesanya's physical power lies in his kickboxing and precise striking at middleweight. His counter-striking using jabs, leg kicks, and check hooks delivers surgical damage just like the way he knocked out Robert Whittaker with a counter right hook. His 65% takedown defense seen against Kelvin Gastelum allows him to keep fights standing where his power shines. Adesanya's lighter frame and reliance on distance striking make him vulnerable to grappling, as exposed in his loss to Jan Błachowicz, where he was taken down 3 times. In terms of mental ability, Jones's mental edge lies in his experience against tougher competition and proven adaptability in high-stakes fights. While Adesanya's confidence and composure are terrifying, his relative inexperience against grapplers like Jones outweighs. With a record of 27-1 with 1 no contest, Jon Jones's career is stacked with massive wins, like taking out Mauricio Rua at UFC 128, where he smashed through with punches for a TKO in round 3 to secure the light heavyweight title at just 23, making him the youngest UFC champ ever. With a 95% win rate, 10 knockouts, 6 submissions, and a 2023 heavyweight title win over Cyril Gane at UFC 285, Jones's versatility and dominance over legends make him nearly untouchable. Israel Adesanya, on the other hand, is still a newcomer and way more inexperienced than Jones, but with a track record of 24-4, he is a striking wizard, as seen at UFC 234, where he outclassed Anderson Silva. With 5 title defenses and a middleweight reign from 2019 to 2021, Adesanya's 33% knockout rate and rapid rise are impressive, but his grappling struggles against wrestlers like Błachowicz and Duplessis show a gap Jon Jones could exploit. Because Jones has a longer reign, faced tougher opponents, and his all-around game gives him the edge over Adesanya's striking brilliance. But how would the fight look inside the cage? In a bird's-eye view, Jon Jones uses his initial showboating to get into the head of Adesanya. Once he knows Adesanya is irritated, Jones would then use his freakish reach and unpredictable striking to shut Adesanya down. But we should not underestimate Israel. Although he is slightly more inexperienced than Jones, he has got counter strength. He would land those slick counters like he did against Robert Whittaker. But eventually, Jones drags him into deep waters, takes him down multiple times, and finishes him with ground and pound. If we look at the stats and previous records, this fight would go Jones's way from start to finish. First, Jones absolutely owns the range game. His 84.5-inch reach is the longest in UFC history. That means he can keep Izzy at whatever distance he wants, landing elbows, kicks, spinning attacks, and brutal takedowns. Just look at how he knocked out Daniel Cormier with that devastating head kick at UFC 214, or how he methodically picked apart Alexander Gustafsson in their rematch, landing over 100 strikes before finishing him on the ground. Jones is incredibly smart with how he uses that reach advantage, and when it comes to grappling, it's not even close between these two. Adesanya's takedown defense looks solid against average wrestlers, but when Jan Błachowicz wrestled him at UFC 259, Adesanya looked like an amateur fighter. Jones is a far superior wrestler than Israel could ever dream of becoming. He averages nearly 5 takedowns per fight throughout his career. His takedowns on Rashad Evans are still the best in UFC history. No doubt Israel is one of the best young-age fighters. He's got some serious weapons in his arsenal. If Jones gets sloppy with his movement, Adesanya has the timing to land a clean counter shot. That right hook he used to shut off Alex Pereira was absolutely deadly. But Jones has faced guys with way more raw knockout power than he has. Jones's iron chin helps him absorb the damage before he figures out a flying knee to knock out the opponent. And then there's the gas tank situation. Jones simply doesn't fade as fights go longer. He went 5 hard rounds in one of the greatest wars ever with Alexander Gustafsson at UFC 165. Meanwhile, Izzy's cardio clearly dipped against Dricus when grappling came into play. Over 5 rounds, Jones only gets stronger while his opponents break down. So, how does this fight actually end? Well, Izzy starts quick, maybe even lands a few clean shots early that get the crowd hyped, but by round 3, Jones gets that crucial takedown he's been setting up, and once he's on top, it's completely over. He smothers Adesanya with his weight, pounds him with heavy shots, and the referee has to step in. It would be a technical knockout victory for Jon Bones Jones. Jones is just too much for anyone at light heavyweight or middleweight. Too long, too skilled, and too experienced in big fights. Israel is great at what he does, but Jones is built different. He's faced and beaten every type of fighter you can imagine, and Adesanya would just be another name added to that legendary resume.